And I'm sure the settlements are paying us back our peanuts
Oh,
compared to the profits they've made.
yeah.
You see their spreadsheets, you know they're peanuts.
You don't have much room left on that page.
Turn the page. I stopped taking notes shortly after this, deciding nobody's gonna care. That's my attitude. Phone is on. I'll put it on.
Hi, girl. How are you going?
Oh, yeah, he's coming.
I heard that.
Yeah. Cecil left me a voice message. I never listened to it. I should listen to it. Could be important. It's about selling the farm. I know that for sure, 'cause that's what he said.
Lauren had to, on spring break, had to do something she's never done before, so she was helping pull that calf last night, taking videos of it to report back to when she goes back to college. Well, that'll get them city kids all wound up.
Look at, you're just being cruel. Look at all the blood you're making.
I can't believe those old lake cows that get sold to the packing plants. They want them to have a calf in there,
That way you get that
blood.
blood out of them,
That goes
pharmaceutical
to
blood.
fake meat. They use that blood as additive to the fake meat to give it taste and
It used to
texture.
be for pharmaceutical uses, they used to,
Did not know that, because I always thought that they didn't want them bred because, just added weight that you're not using.
They must make a
used to
killing
take
on
them
it.
and suck all the blood out of it for pharmaceutical when I worked at the plant.
You know, I don't know if you'd ever drove by Frank's over there and seen the cows he had, where every one of them came from a
I'll try to be
Unload
super
and kill
nice
cows.
today and just
Yeah.
hand it.
bring the calves over, capped in the trailer. He'd throw them up in the doghouse and bring them home.
Oh.
Oh, you ready?
Color to order.
You got it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody had a chance to review the agenda. Are there any conflicts of interest? Haven't seen none. Move on, Madam Auditor, would you read us the minutes from the last meeting?
Sure. March 7th, 2023, Board of Supervisors met at 9 AM with Ty Rosberg, Chairman presiding. Members present were Schultz, Hayden, Rosberg, Dozark, and Mulbauer. Minutes of the previous meeting read and approved. Motion was made by Mulbauer, seconded by Hayden to approve maintenance gravel purchase agreements with Stratford Gravel for 2024 delivery. Kate's Pit, 50,000 ton at 15% limestone at $8.03 a ton. Sparks Pit, 25,000 ton at $7.50 a ton. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Dozark to approve the 2023 dust control agreements with Jericho Services and Heffron Services. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Mulbauer to approve the contract bonds and certifications of insurance for HMA resurfacing project. County Road M55 from O Avenue to north of I Avenue to Inroads LLC in the amount of $2,498,344,32. Motion passed unanimously at 10 AM. As advertised, the motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Mulbauer to open the public hearing regarding the proposed property tax dollars for fiscal year 23-24. Motion passed unanimously. There were no written objections. At 10:03, motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Hayden to close the hearing. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Hayden to approve the following resolution. 2023-16, approval of the 24 max property tax dollars. Voting aye, Hayden, Rosberg, Schultz, Dozark, and Mulbauer. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Dozark to approve increasing disability insurance benefit amount to $175,000. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Schultz to approve tax abatement for 3 years, 100% from parcel 1710-128-001. 402 to 517 East Fulton Street in Dow City, owned by Nicole Mini Storage. Motion passed unanimously. The board held budget work session with Chuck Edelman. On motion duly seconded, the board adjourned at 12:24 PM. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 PM, preceding the next meeting. On March 7th, 2023, the Board of Supervisors met at 5 PM. Members present: Hayden, Rosberg, Dozark, and Mulbauer. Schultz arrived at 5:25. The board met with the Board of Health at the Annex Boardroom to go over strategic planning and discussion of City Center building. That was followed by a tour of the City Center building. On motion duly seconded, the board adjourned at 6:10 PM.
Sounds good.
Any additions, corrections to the minutes? And approved as read. Should have read them for you. Won't have a voice left by the end of the halfway point of the meeting.
Some might appreciate that.
No objections?
We won't bring it. We won't bring it.
We signed the line above there too for chairperson.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't look at
That's
it.
okay.
There was a meeting, so there you
No
go.
problem. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, supervisors reports. Jean, please go.
Had a great week last week. ISAC was, good, a lot of, talking with other supervisors. The highlight of my trip was that Dave got me in to see the governor with him. So there was 10 of us supervisors that got to have a face-to-face conversation with her. And the conversation was the pipeline. And I was able to express my concerns about some of the half-truths we've heard from them. Just wanting to, when they give us an update, to tell us exactly what's going on. I voiced my concern about the number that they have out there for what we would bring in on property tax versus what our assessor says we'll bring in. So she was gonna have one of her team members look that up and get back to me as exactly how they're figuring that rate. Like I said, they estimate with the $22 million total investment that our taxes would be $856,000. And Dwayne, when he does it, just with the regular rate, he got more like $550,000. That's a big difference. And so we just kind of want the truth of the whole thing. So that was good. We also hit a little bit on how dissatisfied we are with the way they're running the public health system or mental health system. And she expressed that, if they're funding the bill, they need to have some say-so in how the money is spent and how the programs are administered. And, it was just good to talk to her. When she talks about the pipeline, her concerns are that, you want high-priced corn for the cattle producers, and you want low price for the cattle, high price for corn producers. Ethanol is required to sequester some of their footprint by, I think it's 2026. And so she's got to be aware of that. This is an economic improvement somewhat to the state of Iowa, but at what cost? Are we concerned about health? And we talked about eminent domain a lot, our concerns, that she just doesn't understand why they can't, go around some of these areas that adamantly don't want it. That is a big concern of hers also. Talked a little bit about maybe reevaluating the IUB board and see if that really is the function, but everything just takes time. And so she's got a lot of moving parts to that and is very aware of the things going on in Iowa.
Were you able to see what she was looking at on Steve's bill? To me, that makes that a little more fair. It gives them a little bit of room to get eminent domain, but they gotta work for it. It isn't gonna be a given.
There were some things that once it came out of his space that even the pro and con pipeline people didn't like. I talked to Jason about that, and he, so he couldn't really please any of them with that bill. There was some tweaking that needed to be done to make, the pro folks happy and so they're tweaking it, I believe, and they get it back on, so that was a good visit. She was very, very receptive to what we had to say, and I thought it was a good visit. So then I went back to some of the meetings that they had. It really hammered on tourism, didn't it, Dave? But what they, and this was one that you weren't at, what they did is they actually had the guys from Dyersville and Dubuque County. They talked for what, 2 hours maybe, about how great everything is over there. I just left wishing I had a river or a big ball diamond or something so I could get some of that money, but in my meeting before that, they talked about all of the things that they're rolling out in Iowa to try to change the perception of Iowa. And they're trying to, get to those 20 and 30-year-old folks that are on the social media. They have some influencers that have, in the hundreds of thousands of followers. So they're rolling out, this is Iowa. It's an Iowa, like a game field thing. They have Soul of Iowa, SOUL of Iowa campaign, and that's directly targeting 20 and 30-year-olds. A secret worth sharing is a video that's out there. And what they noticed with that is that 87% of the people watching it watched it to the end. And I guess that's a really high percentage. Most people click on those things and they, get bored or they're not interested. So they're really trying to get Iowa out there, that we're the best kept secret. And that's one of the reasons that Governor Reynolds is trying to get those taxes down and be able to entice people with some different things. They're doing a lot to change the perception. And so giving to tourism as supervisors is okay. I highlighted that. The co-op advertising is something that they recommend, going with your chamber and your cities and really getting the good word out of the good things you have in your county. So, as I thought about that, and then this weekend I went to the Pheasants Forever banquet, and I'm like, we need to showcase the hunting, and we need to really encourage, because we have great pheasants, we should buy property or whatever we have to do, because those people leave some money in our county. Part of what they talked about with Dubuque is, yeah, they have it over there, but as these people are traveling, they're coming through our communities and going to our restaurants and buying possibly seeing what we have and maybe come back and visit. So it was good. It was very interesting, but I kind of needed to figure out, well, that's fine and good for you guys, but what are we supposed to do? I think the message was, take it back to your county and figure out what you have that you can start to let people know about and stop keeping it a secret. So that was a good one. And then in the morning, I took a lot of notes, and then after I started taking these pages of notes, I thought, I'll just sum it up to say, they talked about the money that we give to county fairgrounds, and we all have to look and make sure that our county boards are not letting people rent that from them that are not part of the public purpose. And everybody has a different circumstance, but we should require an audit to make sure that the money that we give them is fit for the purpose that we need. Iowa Code Chapter 403, we need to look at that a little bit, maybe. Documenting, so it was about using your money for a public purpose, and we really need to be careful to make sure that it really is going for the good of the public. Make sure we have written contracts, 2080 agreements, resolutions, and we have to make sure that there's not an absence of public purpose. So those were kind of the key points. Special interest, if there's a project that is being voted on and you would gain financially from it at all, or anybody that it's best to just recuse yourself, because if there's any question, especially if you're the third deciding vote or the second deciding vote, if it was going to pass anyway, best to just not vote for it, so there's not a perception of conflict of interest. I always gave a lot of examples and whatnot, but I think that's a good thing to remind ourselves of. if you're in doubt, just don't vote for it. Just don't make the motion. Don't push it through. Because it'll be hard to defend if you were one of them that voted, and it turns out that there was a private interest in the purpose. So it was good. Talked to a lot of people, a lot of pipeline talk at lunch in different places. There is a supervisor from a county that is being sued for his ethics because he signed up for the pipeline and he's on the, so he thought that's gonna be interesting to see how that comes out, so.
He signed up for the pipeline?
He has 2 farms and so he's
Oh,
signed up to,
gotcha.
yeah. And he did that early on and now they're suing him for ethics, so. Yeah, and he's just, he's wondering how that's all gonna turn out, you know, but he had to think about his own property and he was fine with it, but so that was all the conversation.
So he's been voting on stuff that has to do with the pipeline.
Yeah, a little bit,
Probably
so.
should have been bowing out. Excellent point.
So that was it in a nutshell. I do have a new book on open meetings record handbooks, if anybody wants to hand out. I did get you a stress ball, but I ended up giving it to Taryn and the governor, sorry.
I'm sure they need it more than I do.
Seemed like it after that.
I know how I
Very happy for her. I've been happy.
So that's just kind of a overview. It was good. Oh, and then I had my public health meeting yesterday. And boy, oh boy, was that a long one. But what we need to visit a little bit about is, you know, with our meeting that we had last week, how are we going to go forward with getting that molded carpet out of there? And I do have Colin looking that up because it's now more than just a remodel project. It's imperative we get that out. So he'll have that here pretty soon. And then he's looking up our procurement policy just to really remind us exactly how that need to work. But I think we had a good meeting. The public health has a grant for that IT money and they got it all spent for what they need and have a little bit left. So they're gonna check to see if they can use it for the security cameras. And that way we can kind of not have to worry about that. So what we need to do, I believe, is get that on the agenda for next week and kind of discuss how exactly and how much money we think we should give them. Because we did agree that we'll put that in their hands and they can. And I do have a gentleman that's going to walk through and see if he can do an RFP for us and kind of be a lead guy. And I'm doing that more as public health to keep that moving along on my behalf of serving on the public health board.
Yep.
To now start moving it forward for them.
Excellent.
So that, but I tell you what, people were having to go back to work and we still weren't done. And so we had to stop because we didn't have a quorum anymore. So we didn't quite get done, but it was a long meeting. We had lots of updates. Carrie Kersey is a little bit concerned about the Dennison project going out on 59, that one of the houses may need a septic system because it's more than 200 feet from the hookup. And so she's real curious if it's gonna fall into her category, but she's really against having another septic system that's in a neighborhood that everybody else is connected. So she's hoping that the developer of that will spend the money to take it out, which I believe is the city of Dennison, isn't it?
I don't know that for sure.
I don't know, but that was her report. So, yeah, good week. Yeah, I can't believe it's Tuesday again already.
It was a busy week.
Busy week, good week.
Thanks for going down there.
What did Colin say about,
He's gonna bring that to us.
okay,
He was he'd done a memo on it and was gonna look that memo up so he didn't have to reinvent the wheel on exactly how that's gonna work. So he'll bring it in when he has it.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Pretty much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else got a large schedule? Mr. Mulbauer, would you like to go next?
yeah, just to piggyback off of Gene, meeting with the governor was I think, a productive meeting. It was quick. I mean, we had
Yeah.
about a half hour with him.
We were rushed in and rushed out.
Right, yeah, I think if anything, I hope the takeaway that she got from us supervisors is that we care deeply about our counties and that we want to be a part of the conversation.
Yep.
And she had even mentioned meeting more
Yes, she
often,
did.
quarterly, however we work it out.
Yep.
Maybe through ISAC when everybody's together.
Mhm.
But at least our concerns are being heard.
And I really do think she was taking notes and she seemed genuinely concerned about the things that we were concerned about. Do you
Right.
think?
I think so, and, you know, you look at mental health and going down to 49%, and with your board, with the district courts, losing some of that control, she recognized that. She did say that she thought advisory role will still play a key part of it, but I still hesitate, you know, it's nice having that actual vote. But she's hearing us out on those issues. Wednesday night, I had the board of directors meeting out there, kind of covered a lot of topics I've been keeping you up on every week. Few amendments have happened to some of those bills, Senate File 443 with the redistricting of county populations of 60,000. There's an amendment that moved it up to 125,000 pop, which is only 5 counties in the state. The worry is if they change those without letting the voters actually change what plan they're in, what would stop them from changing us to something we don't desire? So there's a little.
So did the amendment pass?
Yes, yep. So that's still moving forward. Let's see, what we talked about, the property tax, and still the 30 counties that are at, you know, over the 350 cap. That's moving forward. The exemptions.
How many are on over it?
30.
30.
On the credits, moving exemptions, we talked about that landing in our laps, you know, where they're not gonna backfill us, which brought up an interesting point. So Jason Vandehoff from Osceola County, when the commercial backfill was taken away, was that 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, they've been phasing it out over, yeah.
So what they did, I thought was interesting, because as of now, you have like 4 or 5 different reasons why you can go over the 350 cap, and you have to document that in your certifying your budget. They went over the 350 threshold, claiming that the unfunded mandates were costing the county by taking that away. And they went over the 350 budget to recap that what the state was supposed to give us back, but then they lowered their supplemental. So it's still a wash to them. They didn't raise taxes, but they kind of said, well, state, if you're gonna take away our backfill on this, we went over the 350 and then lowered it somewhere else and went that route. And that was kind of interesting that they did it, and I guess it has
What's the
worked.
point of going that route? Just to make a point?
To make a
Make a
point. To make a point. So that is something that Osceola County has done.
Got somebody's attention.
Yeah, that's what it was for. And talked a lot about the 1,600-page reorganization bill. Nobody really knows what's all in it yet. Could be a lot of transfer power to the governor's office away from, which we're already seeing, away from local control and home rule. So we also had a pass around. ICAP came and presented kind of the history of their services and how they came about, and that's CRIMS, the County Risk Management Services, and that's kind of interesting because there was back in, I think, the 70s, kind of a lull in what counties had available for insurance options. And that's kind of how ICAP came about, providing them, and good history on what they've done throughout the years. And then one of the other sessions I sat through was chaos in the workplace. Interesting, just how to work together with people with different opinions, different personalities, different times, stages of their life, and making that all work together. The ripple effect that people can have just in a workplace, good or bad. Very interesting. And then let's see, talk to them about NACO for you. I brought up this solar panel discussion. I said take that into consideration, maybe having a session on that. And then for our opioid discussion, it is looking like there's gonna be a session coming up in May that would be open for any counties to join to help decide or help have ideas on using your opioid funds the best way possible. And that's about all I got for you guys. I got region 12 on Thursday.
74% of their income goes for their wages and benefits. That's what they have picked up. 74%.
Of who's?
ISACs.
Sure,
I
they're
didn't even have
paid
to write
well.
that one down. I was like,
How much do we pay, I said, a year?
Ooh, good question, because we pay as a county, we pay as affiliates. I don't know, I'd have to look.
Well,
Conference
I was
fees.
wondering how many employees they had,
'Cause there's
because the wages are
Engineer, every department's got its own affiliate,
I wanna say they have about 20
You know.
employees.
20 employees, and
Well,
Because there's, numbers keeps growing, auditor's office pays.
Recorder's office, treasurer's office, attorney's office, board of
supervisor,
supervisors,
sheriffs,
probably even the
and
engineer.
assessor, engineer. you know.
but each one of those budgets are separate from the main, from the ISAC board itself. Like the supervisors, ISACs is a different budget than ISAC.
Right, yeah, we pay to our affiliate.
So,
Are you finished, sir?
yes,
Mr. Dozart?
I had Wesco meeting last night. Just a couple of highlights, I guess. Wesco has now 140 employees, which is the most they've ever had. They're serving 173 people, which is the most they've ever served. February was a good month. They're having a good year. And of the new hires, I think they have 5 open positions, and they said that most of their applicants come out of advertising on Indeed. So I thought that was interesting. And their own personal website. They don't get anything through Facebook. He said that that's been basically non-existent. So I guess if we're looking at hiring in positions, he said that Indeed is the best place that they've gone to get applicants. And that's about it.
Okay, sir.
Craig, did you say how far away, like some of the applications were coming from, or? was a lot
They've been with-
filled locally, or?
Well, they've been within, within about 30 miles. I think he stresses that's why it's important for them from a housing issue, not just in Denison, but in the surrounding communities, is that he sees that as an issue moving forward. I mean, they did raise their pay last year by $3 an hour. They plan on raising it $2 an hour to get to an average starting wage of $19.50 an hour. So he says that has helped, but the housing thing moving forward is gonna be, he said, their biggest issue as far as getting people here and getting people to stay.
I know on some of that Indeed, you get people, I think some of them headhunters got to file so many things for people. I mean, like for the CDC director, we were getting, the one guy was looked like he worked for NASA or something in the past. I mean, so, I mean, you knew he wasn't, people with doctorates and stuff, they're not really wanting to come here for that job. So that's one, I don't know if that's on yours, on that job level. But for the CDC director, there was some of them there, you just kind of, just flipping through that, because it wasn't gonna happen, And they'd be from Texas or South Carolina, different places like that, so. That was the only thing I seen. that sort of-
Wesco, I should add too, that they have a new board member, Bill Bruce, who I'm sure everyone knows. And then they put an ad in the paper, I don't know if you saw, but asking for people to join their board of directors. And so Bill volunteered, and we added him last night, and then there's somebody else that also has inquired about it, so
cool.
that's good.
Was Clay there last night?
Yes,
He was? He was also at the National Honor Society.
right, we were hoping we wanted to get done by 7, so you can get up to
Yeah,
his
okay.
daughter's National Honor Society.
My
induction.
granddaughter got inducted also last night, so,
Oh, great.
yeah.
It looked like there was a good group of girls on that. Mr. Schultz?
Okay, well, we had our 911 budget public hearing meeting last Monday night. That's why I was late getting to public health, so. Went as expected, no complaints for, against, or anything like that. So it was a quick meeting, and obviously had public health meet and greet and walk through. Yeah, I think we just need to get that basement cleaned out and start a blank slate down there.
I agree.
That'll make everybody feel a lot different and have a lot better feeling about the project, because at one point in time, when I was walking through last Monday night, I was like, tornado would do good.
Yeah, Well, since that.
Or a fire.
Yeah, and just like, God, what did we get ourselves into? But it's a lot of right here, cause it just get that cleaned out and it'll be a lot better feeling
That
for it.
carpet's
Just-
wet, though, from that little rain or the water pipe, that's causing a lot of problems down there. We've got to get that cleaned out.
You look at that room that they cleaned out where they had files and stuff. I mean, that whole basement was cleaned up to that standard. I think it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it just needs to get done.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they can get moved in upstairs. They don't need to be moved in while they're gutting that out, but they need to get moved in.
I agree. The
As soon
good
as
thing that came
possible.
through that is I think, talked them out of putting actual doors and walls there. I think they're gonna be fine with just having the, gates like they have now. So that's gonna.
I was
be
a little disappointed in the fact that they didn't really wanna take the project and run with it. I was thought, yeah, dang, it's gonna be their place where they're gonna work, and they really like, no, we don't want anything to do with it.
I think it's the right thing to do though, because, me sitting on this board, I think that wall should stay. Well, most of them want the wall down the basement. They want to make that one big room. Well, if that's a priority for you guys and we give you X amount of dollars and you don't have the money to paint, that's a
Yeah.
decision they should make.
I mean,
not
it should take
us.
some ownership in it.
Yeah. I think
It's a
it'll
lot
be
easier
okay.
just to keep saying, coming back here and say, well,
I think it'll be okay. I
Right.
think everybody just had to get together. I think it was great that we could all kind of express our concerns and, at the end of the day, they have to work there. We still own the building, but I don't want to tell them what color to paint the walls. I don't want to tell them you have to leave this things in. But you need to prioritize how you're gonna spend these ARPA funds.
yep. I know I made a point clear to Lynn that he was wanting a lot more money. I said, the money is not there.
Yeah.
This is what you're gonna have to work with.
Yeah.
And make it work. Or wait.
Right. And I think too, once you get that basement cleaned out, you might get in there and say, oh, wow, it actually worked better if we did this down
Right.
here or this. But
Right.
once you open it up and you can really visualize the space clean, you might have a better
I
flow
agree.
of how it,
You can't
It's
imagine
done.
it right now, the
Right.
way that it is. We did have WIC at our public health meeting yesterday, and they're excited to bring their weekly or monthly things over to our building also. So we have to keep that moving so that they don't find another place. So we have WIC, public health, mental health, and DHS all in the same building, and two of those entities paying us rent.
So what did everyone get, I guess, as the next course of action?
We're
after
finding
that
out the
meeting?
procurement policy from Colin. He's gonna get that down, how we have to do that. We're gonna get from Colin, since there is, it's wet down there and we've had some damage. Now, will our insurance pay any of that, do you think?
Don't know.
How would we find, what would be our step to find out, since it
I
was?
mean, I
All
think
the
it's right.
agencies are.
They would try to pay if you're gonna fix it, but I don't know. What our gas,
Well, mold
it
is
don't
never-
cost nothing to ask.
Yeah, so I'll kind of follow up on that a little bit. It's easier now that I'm actually on that board, so I can keep things moving.
I
in
just
that
sent my
direction.
3 nephews over there that came to my house last night, 3-year-old man wrecking.
Okay.
Have that place stripped down in no time.
Yep, well, but if you have a person that'll facilitate it and can use high school kids, get a roll-off out there and just some shovels and just start shoveling it out.
I don't know what the sheriff's got going on.
Oh,
He seems to use his, for his projects.
I'm all about that.
okay, well, what I understood when we were reading the procurement,
He gets
Item,
right up the drain and
Gene was
stuff.
double checking with Colin to make sure that that would be needed to RFP for a cleanup or not, just to double check, but to me, if we don't need one, you
Well, it
find
depends
a
on
crew
what
that
the-
you can hire
what
and
the
clean up.
expense is.
So
That's
what is
$5,000
Colin to get back to us?
But if it's an emergency repair,
She
You know,
talked to
you
him
got-
before the meeting.
and we didn't realize that carpet had stayed that damp. And then it's causing, so it's now become an imperative emergency to at least get it cleaned out to where there's not wet carpet in there.
I don't know, maybe on the bright side, it's loosening the glue up.
Yeah,
underneath
it's
it.
gonna come up pretty easy.
Come up.
That'll help a lot. But we have to get that done, not.
Silver lining, I got.
And then, let's see, Wednesday night, we had conservation board meeting. The highlights of that was rural water finally came back and said, no.
No,
It would cost us $1 million out of our pocket and $1 million out of their pocket.
should we ask the governor if she got any funds for that?
Yeah.
Forgot one name.
We forgot what was announced.
What are you talking about, tourism and stuff? Get
Yes,
some water out of
Yeah.
our park.
There you go.
But since then, he's had meager well service out and retesting the deep wells that they put in back in the 90s. According to his little test kit that he bought off Amazon, Chris was like, they should be fine. But he said, I don't know if I trust that, so.
They've been fined for 30 years of people camping there.
I hate it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know what. It's the same old water I drink every day. I don't think I have too many long lasting side effects, but.
At least it ain't Camp Lejeune.
So the water, the
So
water.
they have a well company there?
Yeah, there was 1 or 2 deep wells that drilled in the 90s to try to solve this problem then already. But they were too high in sulfate, so they couldn't use them. Still, they say we can't use the existing well because it don't have enough, let's see, dirt above the water line.
Yep.
Boy, somebody, why can't we just add to the well? Because the well they're using is on the downstream side of the dam right now. It'd be really easy to put more dirt in. Put a riser on it, add more dirt. It's too subject to surface water is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So
So I don't,
you should have them apply for, because the state is putting money in for tourism in Ottawa. So
I don't,
as he tapped into
That'd be
all of
something to
those
do.
that are out there. Because that's exactly what the message was, what do you got in your county that you can have people come to? We've got a state park or a county park that doesn't have water to
So is
it.
DNR still,
yeah, they're watching it.
that's just how it's been, they're just watching.
Once the park opens for business is when the clock starts ticking, and I think
For
it's
the
16
18
months,
months.
yeah, 16 or 18 months to have something figured out. So at that point in time, if we can't have some sort of water treatment or somebody comes up with a greater plan than that,
We can't
we'd
even
have to go
shower
to a
with it.
dry campground out there. No water.
Even just that it's not potable for drinking, you're not even supposed to shower or anything.
That's what they say, yeah.
Yeah.
At
They
least,
don't care if you go down and swim in the pond, but just don't come up and take a shower in the tower.
Have you seen the pond?
So
It's just a little green.
that's the highlight of that. They're looking into test what it's gonna take to try to treat the water.
at least you know that rural water's off the table and that you're not sitting around waiting for them, hoping that that's your only option. Now you know.
Yep. Yeah, so that's that. The tent hill out there, that the rain in January or whatever, it must have really rutted that road up, so they're probably just gonna close that.
Oh,
7 nights or whatever a year that somebody tent camped up there, they probably didn't think it was worth fixing that road up. It was gonna have to be all tore out and reseal coated, and it's one of them things that tent camping is not very popular, so. Oh, and then that's kind of,
Portage up there,
yeah, they can walk. up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
10 on their back.
The new ranger, Eric, I forget his last name, he's got his law enforcement certification, and Bryce is the Nelson's Park Ranger is working on his right now as we speak. So, 2 certified law
Is
enforcement.
Eric at Yellowstone?
Yeah, which brings me a point, he said, he came hired off Indeed, he came out of Florida, Orlando area, and just wanted out.
Really?
Yeah.
good. That was a good deal.
They're gonna put a storm siren up by the nature center. I think that's through, they're working with our department, I believe, or the city to get one put up at no cost to the park. And that's about it, I think.
How, with them getting that certification to be law enforcement, does that mean they can fill shifts, part-time shifts within the sheriff's department, or
Well, I suppose they could. They could, I suppose, yeah. They could,
Yeah, just switch uniforms.
yeah. Yeah, they'd have the same certification as the deputy, so.
Huh,
See what that, I don't know, who knows where that'll play out, I never thought of that, Dave. I think that, and then just been working with Terry and Martha back and forth on land management agreement, I think we're getting close on that, I believe.
Good.
And everything else, I think will be talked about on the agenda.
You guys left me a little time this week. I didn't have a whole lot to do last week that was official board functions, but we did have the Highway 30 Coalition meeting, and since we donated some funds, they got the main report back from the study. Now, I focused on the 40 miles on each side of the Highway 35 corridor. There's the part that's over in the DeWitt, whatever, I can't remember the two towns it's between off the top of my head, but it focused on that. When they did the study, they did it with 3 different setups, where you would have a divided 4-lane with the upright, especially as you came into the towns, or like some of the towns, like, so they didn't, I mean, in particular, just use ours in Crawford County, for instance, like Dow City, for instance. There's a little bit of room to stretch it out and make it a 3-lane through there, where you'd have 1 lane going each way and then a center turn lane to keep the traffic from stopping. My question was, what are you gonna do in Carroll? They didn't have anything wrote down for that. I said, I already hate all their stoplights. If they're not gonna take any of them out, boy, you better build a bypass around that sucker. But the main thing was focusing out on the outside, and the only part of the study that they did was for time travel. They didn't do that. They said it would have been a lot more time involved, plus more finance to pay to do the environmental study, as far as what pollution would be helped prevent, because the vehicles are flowing through better and there ain't all the starting and stopping. You burn up more carbon than you take off each time, or expend more carbon anyway. The study was actually pretty interesting. They didn't have any big aspect about it from Carroll this way, but that would have been a larger extent. And once you get it to Carroll, it's kind of works like the 20 aspect did. You'll still have to keep bothering the DOT, because this was projected. Now, this is just our study. This isn't what the DOT do, but that would stop. I think it was 2037 is how far out this was stretched to get those 2 sections done, and total of $630 million to build 80 miles of it. And that was with doing some bypasses, Grand Junction, because of all the, I don't know if you've ever been through Grand Junction going to Iowa State, all the railhead and stuff that's crossing there, and the way you gotta turn things in and out there. There was that was a town that was suggested for bypass, and there was a couple on the other side of the state too that were for bypass. And one area that was over there that would have been a little bit to work through is it's actually a state reserve area, and so you gotta do a larger study there if there's gonna be any grasshoppers you're gonna be affecting or whatever else, But there was some expense to it, but I guess if you look at 600 some million, when you're doing 4 lanes, it's probably seemed to be almost in the ballpark for 80 miles.
That's 8 million a mile,
Yeah,
not quite.
yeah. But see, that puts in your overpasses and all that stuff. And I mean, when they did I-29 there, remember when they did Council Bluffs to Missouri Valley? To me, each side of the road was $1 million a mile then. And that was already, all the dirt work basically was done. You just had to put new pavement down, and I'm sure they put some.
Then regrade E16 and pave it, and is that like 3 million a mile?
2.7 or something.
Yeah,
I didn't think 8 million, that seems actually, in the whole scheme of things, seems pretty reasonable.
When you start talking grading 4 lanes,
Wire
highway,
property.
drainage and buying property, yeah.
I mean,
and
it's a lot
that,
of money,
and it was
but-
all in there, it's a lot of dang money, but they did do an economic discussion, they didn't do the study, what it would, because at 1.2 would be its value. That's how they do 1-to-1, cost versus benefit, but we're actually 1.21. So, and the question was actually asked of the engineer, is that a good, that Schneider and Associates down in Des Moines? Is 1.21, you know, and the DOT people were on the line with us, and they said, yeah, that's actually a pretty good. So considering what economic help and all the other things that would have been factored in there as well, he said it's potentially and quite possibly, highly likely actually, that it'll be more like a 1.5% or something to that effect. Now, they're coming out with that here. They're supposed to actually visit the board and discuss it with us, so.
Did you say 2037?
2037 would be when it would be completed by his, if you staged it out over the way highway people like to do it. Well, you look how long it's taken to do some of that stuff over in eastern Iowa. I mean, it just, and that's just Snyder and Associates projection, you know, that still isn't with our state DOT. I think if you're just listening to the DOT guys that were on that, Dakin and some of them, they sounded like they were quite impressed. I mean, it sounded to me the way they were responding. They asked a lot of questions and they seemed very interested. So I think it's, you know, and they really worked on trying to continue right in the same route and not have to carve up a bunch more ground and do a lot of hill work or anything like that. And most of the time they'd come down into the towns. They'd like to have a little 4-lane through the towns. Actually, it showed one aspect with a 5-lane, which would be 2 each way and then a center turn lane. And then some specific town, depending on the traffic, you know, then you'd put in traffic lights if you had to. So there'll be some slowing down. If you go down there to Oklahoma, a lot of them, especially if you run through the reservation areas, there's a lot of 4 lanes down there that are at grade intersections, and you'll stop in towns, but you watch the truck traffic and the cars don't fight coming in and out of towns because you know you got somewhere to pass when you get to the other side. So I think that that would be probably more cost effective. Plus the citizens that are worried about their towns losing the drive-through business. Missouri Valley's excited to get it out of their town, by the way. I mean, they're worried about their buildings shaking to the ground right now. So they're kind of excited about, but theirs is already in the works right now. The 4-lane down there is in the hands of the railroad. I think it was the railroad and the Army Corps of Engineers, because they're gonna actually use the dirt that's getting built up to build this will be a part of the dike system down there. So that road will actually help hold that dike in place then.
I could see Carroll fighting it though. They don't want to lose that through town.
Yeah, well, if
They
they
didn't let
just,
the stoplights, they tried going away from them and businesses did not want that.
just as long as they get them a little more functional to where you just, I mean, if
Where
you're
you don't
driving a
hit
truck
every
through there and you
single
sit
one.
there on that one on the two, there's 2 lights on the other side on the hills. I just hate them damn thing. And then you come around the corner. If there's no cars sitting on the Walmart side, you can blast through that thing. If there's cars there, just prepare to stop. Anyway, that just kind of obstructs the flow but if you know you got 4-lane on the other side, you can get going again. So anyway, that was that meeting, and that was pretty much the gist of it, was talking to them. We actually had a good conversation about it. So I think it was well worth it. And you got to keep moving the project, and I did ask Adam, because he's done Adam Schwer's done a great job with this, I think. So I wanted to make sure that he stays involved in this, even if it gets too Carroll. He said, well, we still need to get to Carroll from the other side. I said, that's what I like to hear. Anyway, then Friday I had my first meeting. This really didn't have anything to do with the board, but there was things that got talked about that would be important to this board as far as our industries in Iowa and stuff like that. And there's some pretty good networking I can do there with the railroad people and other industry connections. And it's Iowa Freight Advisory Council. It's one of the governor's boards. Very interesting meeting, a lot of discussion, some even barge traffic stuff, but a lot of railroad discussion. And I had a nice talk with the lady that is actually UP's as far as getting, remember how farmland used to pay for our county firemen to get the hazmat technician training. Well, the railroad's actually got a school they send them to out in, I think she said Pueblo. And they'll send them, it's like a 3-day or something, and they'll pay for all that stuff. They won't pay to get them, you gotta get yourself there. And they don't pay, they'll pay you to go there and all that. They don't pay for loss of salary or something for that time, but God, most of them firemen get a crack at having that tech training. I mean, she said, and they'll come here and do stuff. So that might be another avenue. So I got her card, and she's supposed to have somebody else get a hold of me. So that might be beneficial to our fire service. Because do we have anybody that does tech level training for us now?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've been for a long time.
Okay. So anyway, it just seemed like it, farmland used to do that for us, and that guy from DePaul University came and that was good training. So anyway, I talked to her about that, and she also said that they like to participate in counties things. I said, how about a rec center? Now, they don't give millions or anything, but she said, $15,000, $25,000. I said, hey, every penny counts. So anyway, that was a pretty good meeting for that. All the networking things you can use to your benefit if you seek to do it. So anyway,
Ty, talking about wellness centers, Gene has some information we heard hot off the
Hot
press.
off the press, the governor, congratulated us on getting that award, and I didn't know anything about it. They hadn't even let the press release go, so she was super excited about being able to let us know that we're getting $4.5 million to help with our wellness center. So that was a great announcement.
it was, yep, outstanding stuff.
So,
That's really gonna help.
yes, it is.
You almost see it gonna take place.
Yeah,
Might even actually have now.
That's gonna get her off the ground.
I was adding up the dollars that we already have and, kind of what we're getting darn close.
Getting close now. Well, great news, great
Yeah,
news.
what a day, that was a great day.
Paul, would you care to join us?
Made room for you.
Well, thank you. How's everyone?
Good, super good.
Sun's out.
It makes a huge difference when the sun shines.
My eyes all the way over here.
Brightens everyone's day.
Yeah,
So,
she's really getting further north, the sun.
yeah. Well, good news on the construction front. We've got, the bridge is out. Basically, they left the abutments. They just kind of leave those in for construction reasons. I was over there yesterday, and they're working on putting the pier construction. So I talked to the foreman over there. They're gonna get after it, which is good news. So it's on a paved road. I'm hoping by the 4th of July, we're driving over it. But
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
It would be. That'd be really good.
After last year's bridge.
Yeah, just a different contractor, different scenario, and I'm just fortunate. I'm
Different
glad,
year.
and we're fortunate these guys are on the paved road.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, from all accounts, they're gonna get after it. So, and then the asphalt project, approved the contract there last week. They're actually taking what we call wrap samples, so they have to mill and take some of the existing asphalt off, because they take that off and then they reuse that in their mix. They have to take it and break it down and measure the amount of what they call, existing oil or binder in there, and account for that in the new mix design. So yeah, that's, they're gonna be moving in the next 2 to 3 weeks up there. If you recall, we haven't got the signed agreement back from them in the check yet, but we rented that to them for $35,000 for the season. And he's hoping that all the projects that they have, that they'll be done and out of there by the middle of July. So that'd be really awesome. So yeah, so that'll be moving along. Great crew. As soon as the conditions get fit, we'll be out and after it. The bridge crew's hoping to get started on the bridge over, you go west, about a half mile south of Tom Staley's. That's where they're gonna take that old truss out by Dean Hunters. And we're gonna leave the concrete abutments. This will be a kind of a unique bridge. We're gonna leave the concrete abutment in and set a H-pile upright on the cap, use that for our cap and set our new beams. And these are beams that we salvaged from the bridge just down the road to the west mile. We're gonna use those and get a nice 24-foot bridge, not have to rebuild an abutment, reuse what we got there. So
Excellent.
So that's where we're gonna start the season. Yeah, we'll see how it works. You know, it's a perfect concrete abutment, and those things are just built to, I mean, we took one out over there west side. The bid was $60,000 to remove the bridge. And it was tough to get out of there. So those old, yeah, I mean, the concrete's hard and a lot of steel in it, so we just opted to leave this one in. The beams are gonna fit almost perfectly into that slot, so you know, every once in a while we get lucky and
Life is
things
good.
kind of, yeah. So, you know, just kind of keep moving and getting things put together. The guys are kind of getting ready for the auction, you know, it's hard to kind of some days find work for everybody, I gotta be honest with you.
Too many people?
Well, no, I mean, you have to have people here when you have the snow, but, you know, I was talking to Kyle yesterday about this. This is something we're kind of exploring, is that, you know, I mean, nobody wants to sit around, you know, and, but you gotta have the people, and there's just days where there's just, you know, limited, you know, so we're gonna explore the possibility of getting equipment, doing our own sign refacing. You know, our prison industries does that. We had a long gap there. It was 6 to 8 months because they had an incident at the prison. And, you know, that's a public entity. You know, you gotta be careful that you don't do things that compete with the private sector, but we might get into the sign refacing business. You know, we had over 200 signs of our own that we sent there to get refaced. So what they do is they basically recondition the face. It's an aluminum substrate. You just take it off and you refinish it, and you put a new sheeting on top of that and ship it back out. There's all kinds of counties, state departments, cities doing the same thing. So I don't know. You guys tell me if it's a crazy idea, but
How much would it cost
you know,
to get the equipment?
I don't know, we're just looking
Yeah.
into it. You know, I mean, on a day where there's just nothing.
Give us a
you know,
business plan.
come in and you know, the shop area and you know, everybody wants to stay busy. You just gotta have things for them to do, you know, and so.
That'd be a good winter
So
time
we're gonna,
project.
it really would, Ty, so we're gonna look into it and see where that goes.
I'm interested.
Not
Yeah.
splitting atoms, you're just resurfacing signs and just.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be necessarily competing with private, because I don't know of anybody in the private sector that does it right now. It's done by a public entity, and so I don't know, you know.
Say, Paul, you brought
Just
up
wanna
a
be
wrap.
efficient.
You brought up a wrap. Reminded me of something from that Trade Advisory Council. There's a team in Iowa State that are working on, and it's a soy-based. And they're making polymers that they put into the asphalts when they remix it. And gives it more flexibility and not too much where it leaves the tracks in it like you see down south. But as your asphalt gets harder, you know, you start getting your crack up. This actually give it like 20, 30 years more of life, or a better life to it.
Yeah, and that's great stuff. We actually did with Iowa Highway Research and through Iowa State, Dr. Chris Williams. There's a 1/4 mile stretch south of West Side on the M64 pavement. They're way at the south end from O Avenue. You go north,
Okay.
and it's in the southbound lane where they use 35% RAP, which RAP is recycled asphalt product. Okay, so that's what they mill an inch off the existing pavement. They recycle that asphalt, and it's called RAP. It's called recycled asphalt product. But anyhow, they put what's called an emulsifier. So what it does is it causes the binder to go into solution and get better distribution throughout the mix. So, I mean, 20%'s the maximum allowable now. And so you take 20% of that recycled product, and then you mix it with virgin materials. And that's the maximum allowed, because what happens and what they've seen with RAP is that the higher percentages, the pavement tends to get more brittle.
Yep.
And so you have more cracking then. And, you know, you're always gonna get cracking in the pavement, no matter what you do, you're gonna get cracking in the pavement.
Okay.
Concrete, we control that with joints, asphalt, we don't. But anyhow, so it'll be interesting to see how that 1/4 mile stretch kind of.
I just thought that was cool because it was soy-based and all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a win-win
Yeah.
for us.
So there's a lot of neat stuff going on, and that's what the Iowa Highway Research Board, they, you know, through the universities, generally speaking, they look into those different alternatives, you know. There's always room to improve
Oh, yeah.
in what we do.
I just thought I'd bring that up when you brought up that wrap, because they said we're building up piles of that and we're running out of your virgin material.
Yeah,
So
we just gotta keep
we
going.
gotta find ways
farther
to keep
get
reusing our recycle.
To reuse it, yeah, so that's why everything I mean, the broken concrete we get from patching, we stockpile it all up and then we crush it and the material from this bridge over at Charter Oak, you know, they stockpile that, we're gonna take all that, we'll bring it to Denison here to get it big enough pile for the crusher to want to crush, but there's value in all that.
Sure.
So.
Yep.
The 10-hour work days, I was asked to kind of look into a proposal on that, and so I did. And you guys are all really excited about it. In fact, they've already gone around, they've signed it themselves and approved it. You know, my position has always been this: I don't want to stand in the way of what the, you know, what the employees want, but we always have to be mindful that our job here is to take care of the roads. That's what we were hired to do. And so, you know, I mentioned that to the employees that, you know, it sounds like there's board consensus, and that's what we're here to talk about. Is there, you know, if there is, I'll bring it back on the agenda for approval, because they've already signed it on their behalf. They got this yesterday morning, and by 1 o'clock, I had a document back signed. So, they, you know, they're interested in it, but I've articulated that to all of them, that, you know, at the end of the day, we have to be taking care of the roads for the public, however that happens, you know, whether it's 5/8 or 4/10s. And so, you know, that's kind of, this is the proposal. And this is Shelby County's, with Crawford County's name put into it. So I called Brandon, you know, Kyle mentioned it to me, and we've talked about this a number of times. So I called Brandon Burmeister. They've been doing it for 10 years. They said, give me what you got if you had any issues, you know. So I mean, basically, there's no point in rehashing it all over. This has worked for them. And so,
Paul, what did he say? It's worked well for them? I mean, they've been 10 years.
They haven't had any issues. Yeah, he said it's worked well for us. So the office would still stay open. Kathy will work her same hours. She works 4 days a week anyhow. She's part-time and taking it on Wednesdays. The office staff will probably work the same hours. They usually come in at 7:30 and work till 4. I'm not sure what I'll do, because I'm usually down there at 6:30 in the morning to meet with the guys, not every day, but most days. It's just nice to talk to all your foremen before they get scattered.
Yep.
I might work kind of a hybrid where I come in early, but then maybe work a half a day on Friday or something. I don't know, you know. I don't want to work a 10-hour day.
So what time would they
I'm
start?
not too excited about that. And at 6 a.m. to 4:30, that's a long day. That's a long day. And so, you know, the challenges here would be make sure everybody's there and working. As we don't get there at 6 and start at 6:15, we're there and we're working, you know. And this is one thing I've always put, you know, stressed at any time, you know, is that we don't start work, you know, at 7:15, we start work at 7 o'clock, you know, so you got to be there and ready to go at 7 o'clock. And the guys have been pretty good about that, you know, and so there will be one exception. And I said, I want everybody working the same hours. So all the foremen, you know, Jack's not really excited about 10-hour days. He's given his whole career to Crawford County. I don't have any problem with him working a 5/8 and being in that shop by himself. In fact, it'd probably be a good day for him.
Try to get more done.
Because he can get something.
No distraction.
You know, and so I've given him the option. And I've talked to a number of the other guys, you know, I just don't want a guy who's given his whole career to the county to, you know, because of this. That's a long day. And what he does is very physical. So I think, you know, I gave him the option, the one exception, the option to kind of opt in or opt out. I have no issue with him being in that shop, you know.
Somebody should probably be there 5 days a week anyway. I mean,
yeah, so if he wants to, because we got deliveries
Part,
coming in.
I'm gonna say part deliveries and all
We
kinds
got
of.
deliveries and stuff, so I think he's kind of leaning towards that, and I'm okay with that.
mhm.
Paul, do you know, like as far as that day that they take off, when you originally think of a 4-day week, think everybody's gonna be off on Friday, that's why they do it, you know, and like.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, you know, that's what they want to do.
All right,
So when it starts, so the start date on here is May 12th. So on May 12th, that Friday, they won't work. And then the following week, because that's the start of the pay period, then that following week, they'll work 4/10s, have Friday off, the next week they work 4/10s, then you start another pay period. So at the end of this,
the week that it terminates, they'll work 4 10s and they'll work an 8-hour day on Friday. So to start the next pay period. So that's kind of where the starting and ending dates are different than the actual kind of work dates and some, you know, the start date.
I know
Seems
it
like
should.
a
So
question
that,
on
yeah.
Email.
So yeah, you know, I've always been a big advocate that we're here to serve the people that hire us. That's the citizens that we, you know, and to take care of the roads. And so whatever that looks like, okay, you know, we gotta do that. We gotta get the job done. So it'll be up to them to make sure, you know, that, hey, we're getting things done. And if we have these anomalies, these, you know, these Fridays where we really should be out there working, but it's the day off, we're gonna do a little, we need flexibility. I need these guys to understand there's gonna have to be that flexibility because we still gotta take care of the roads.
So do you see any, thought about having half the crew, you know, take Monday off, the other half take Friday off, so somebody's.
Yeah, you know, I don't know, we can look at that and just to me, it gets confusing to know who's where, you know, and I don't know. I think
Try it.
we can try it this way,
That's what we
but you
decided
know,
when we agreed to
Well, we
this.
got a pretty good
Yeah.
example of
Last
Shelby
summer,
County's
but-
done it for 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
1 year trial basis, you know, if it don't work, we'll go right back to
yeah.
5/8,
Yeah.
or if there's something that needs adjusted, we can change it, but.
So
Well,
you-
Sure did it. She, they kind of had them, they could all take the same day off.
Yeah. You know, I
it's
think it's,
different though. She's a customer in her.
I agree.
yeah, yeah, it's different. It's.
I
it's
mean,
a
you
whole lot
guys
different than
don't
their
as
own,
much mingle with the customers,
you know,
under maybe here at the office.
yeah. You know what I mean? Some advantages are you have one less startup, one less shutdown, you know, one less, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe save
breaks
some
and,
fuel driving out to the job site.
you know, you got a job site way up in northwest corner of the county. It takes you guys half hour to get there, 45 minutes maybe, depending on what you're hauling, you know, and so I mean, there's certainly, I think on the construction end, there's, because there's a number of contractors that do this. They'll work the 4 10s. They don't want a lot of overtime. They'll work 4 10s and the guys have Fridays off. You know, might be a smattering of the crew that comes in on a Friday morning for a half a day, but it isn't uncommon to see construction do this as well.
I agree.
So
Let's try it.
You know what?
So I'll bring it back for approval. They did add 2 items.
Oh,
They did add 2 items to the agenda. One was the hours of work, or to, not to the agenda, but to the proposal, and they signed it. I said, you know, just leave it the way that is. But one was the hours of work, 6 to 4:30, and that the gravel haul will be a normal gravel haul. I mean, you know, I mean, it's, we gotta run 5 days a week, and we're gonna lose haulers. And so we just gotta, you know, that's again, one of those things the guys just gotta understand. We're gonna be here 5 days a week, but a lot of times they'd be working a 10-hour day anyhow. Because they're gonna come early and they'll be getting off late just to deal with the gravel haul.
Well thought out on the guys' part to put all this together, know what they want and come with a plan
Mhm.
to keep things
Yeah.
moving. So,
This actually came right from Shelby County, so.
Wow. But they've been talking about
But
it.
they've been talking about it, yeah. Oh, yeah, they've been wanting to do this for a long time, you know, and so,
20 years.
long time.
Would Shelby County say that there was something that they would tweak or something they would do?
I asked
different,
Brandon, he
or-
said, no, he said, this has worked well.
Okay.
You know, the comp time, you know, we allow comp time. And, so we'll, you know, we'll just have to kind of work through all of that, but, we've got someone who's been through it for a long time to call and ask if we get into some weird situations, like, well, yeah, how's that work out? So,
It's nice to know
But
they're
his-
thinking ahead for the gravel haul and all that stuff.
Right.
though.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah, so.
They'll take care of their duty. I like that.
Mhm. We gotta take care of the roads. If we get that done, however it looks, I mean, it's good. So we'll see how that all turns out. But I'll put it on the agenda for approval. The spring auction, again, just a reminder, that's coming up 2 weeks from today. I have to apologize on this next item, because I was asked whether I would be interested in sitting on this by Dennis Harper, who's with the Iowa Homeland Security. And I told him, I talked to Ty, and I also been talking to Kyle, and you know, said it would probably be okay, but I prefer to talk to the whole board before something happens. and make sure you're all okay with it. But anyhow, I did put in my application, and then all of a sudden it came out 3 days later. And so I apologize for that. I hope it's okay. It still hasn't been approved because the appointment, the governor makes the appointment and it has to go to the House and the Senate. There's a whole bunch of appointments. There's all kinds of them. I don't think it's going to take a lot of time. You know, Dennis said there, you know, usually a couple of meetings a year. Of course, if we get into a 93 level flood, there would obviously be more. But I hope everybody's okay with it.
I am,
So,
yeah.
Something that affects, it's affected our county before, so I doubt we're
I like it.
immune.
I told you last night, kudos to Paul to being selected. That shows his, how they respect him and the job he's done throughout the years.
My response was that the more he's involved and stuff like that, it seemed like it brings more money to Crawford County. And if he's sitting on the right board, you get to start dictating policy and procedures, so.
Yeah.
yeah,
See, that's-
As long as it, and I mean, he's got the staff to fulfill his shoes in his absence,
yeah.
if there is some absence.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a whole lot at this point, but you know, you have to be a little careful because you do want to take care of your, you know, your own area, but you gotta be consistently applying the guidelines and the, you know, rules, but it's never hurts to be sitting at the table. You know, so I'll leave it at that.
Don't hurt to be in the grocery store when you're getting groceries for supper.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you're getting.
So anyhow, thank you.
Congratulations for being
Yeah.
appointed.
Yeah, thank
That
you.
was a good analogy right there.
Yeah,
Going to the grocery store.
Well, yeah, I like going shopping, that way I know what I'm gonna eat.
yeah.
I always
So,
understand.
So it'll be interesting. I mean, you know, the flood mitigation, I mean, the best time to plan for a flood is right now.
Yeah.
You know, and the
Before
worst
it
time to be
gets
dealing
here.
with the flood is when it's happening. And so I think that's perspective I'm gonna take into it is that, you know, you talk about flood mitigation, that needs to be happening now. And, you know, and so yeah. it'll be interesting.
So you help do the plans here, so it isn't like you're, you know, you got experience, so you'll be an asset to it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. The budget outlook, I guess I gotta do my DOT budget program, and I'm not sure where we landed with the numbers, you know, for secondary roads. I know there was some discussion about the Senate File 181, but I don't think that really impacted us a whole lot in Crawford County. I mean, it was a little bit of a reduction of general fund, maybe a little bit of an increase in the rural.
Yeah,
But,
we
What's kind of
discussed with our budget session with Chuck last week, bringing you and conservation and the sheriff's department back in and kind of doing a reevaluation, minor tweaking, but I don't think there was anything major that we were
And
gonna.
public health.
One
Okay.
concern we do have is our rural basics kind of getting,
Low.
this year I think
Yeah.
will be fine, next year
Yeah.
moving forward, we might have to get
And of
creative
course,
on
that's
some of
for
that stuff.
pulling 150 out.
Yeah, I know.
We don't wanna-
Chuck was showing
we
me
don't
that
wanna lose
yesterday, and so, yeah, I know, I've seen that balance has dropped considerably, you know, over the last 5 years.
So,
But, again, you know, whatever I have, my job is to take that and
right,
you make the best use of it. And so you're not gonna have a pushback from me.
well, some of that,
But what I'd like to, you know, at some point find out is, you know, where are we gonna kind of land? So then, because my DOT budget's gonna look just like the auditor's budget that I do here. And so, you know, and there's no real sense of immediate urgency, but by April 15th, I gotta have that approved as well. So, yeah, and I probably,
bringing people back in.
I don't know if you've seen my pickup, but the guys, while I was gone there,
That's good.
they did a really nice job. I had 50,000 in there for a pickup, and I'm probably just not gonna do that. So, cause the pickup runs good, I just didn't like the way it looked.
Yeah.
But,
Looks
for
nice
about,
now.
for about $300 or $400, they got it looking really nice.
Good.
Yeah, so,
Body-
but the corrosion's still there, it just looks better.
They did
Crawford
spray
County
paint it.
Secondary Road Shop and auto body repair.
In auto body repair.
Did they
Yeah.
spray paint it?
They did, and they did some rust inhibitor on that.
Really?
It's their, what they call them, rocker panels right below the door, and then they covered them up with nice little
Nice.
cover.
That's good. I looked at it this
It
morning
looks
when I
good.
pulled in.
I'll have to look at
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you know, and
Super.
so anyhow, it's got 105,000 miles on it, it runs good, I like the pickup, so I'm just gonna keep running it.
Here we
As long as it
go.
looks good.
I get married
I
to
don't need a
pickups
big-
too.
I don't need a big fancy pickup to drive around. So, anyhow, I'm gonna be gone again next week, and I apologize. I mean, I made plans last year go in February for a while and go in March for a little while. We're taking our kids on a trip next week for 3 days. And I hadn't planned on being gone this much, and I apologize, but I didn't plan on doing 1 week long bridge inspection training in March. But after this, I won't be missing any meetings for quite a while. I do apologize. So.
We're good, kids. Have fun with the kids.
Doesn't look like
We're
you
looking
stopped.
forward to it. I said, you know, you can buy them Christmas gifts and next year they forget what they got. You take them on a vacation and they'll never forget that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the truth.
Have fun.
We planned it a long time ago and it's unfortunate. So, yeah.
You have a little fun.
So, you have anything, let me know, but otherwise on the budget, I'll kind of plan on generally the same as where we're at. Minor tweaks won't be too hard to deal with, but, 6% increase, on road use tax revenues is the new projection from what they had estimated. So that could be about a $300,000 increase in our revenues. I said on a
That'll
certain.
soften that fuel.
Yeah, because we're gonna blow right past $750 million. It's gonna be over 80 probably. But so I sit on the CERCDAT committee, which is the Secondary Road Fund Distribution Committee, and we had a conference call one morning last week when they were at ISAC. And so the DOT, they're the ones that do all the projections on road use tax revenues. And they're always there. And they said it looks like a 6% increase over what they estimated in July of last year. Well, July, they did the estimates for 2024. It was actually July a long time ago. But so, you know, we get $4.5 million there. So 6% increase on that number is a pretty nice number. And so, you know, we can deal with price increases on the expense side as long as we see our revenues trending higher. But if we start to see revenues decline and continued increase in our expenditures, that's going to be a problem. So that was good news.
That's good. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
10:15, we're almost there. Discuss, take action. I think we can start. Discuss, take action, future of the county farm. Kyle, you want to start us off? I think this is in you and Dave's world,
Well,
or you and Craig, I guess.
I know Gene wanted to talk about it, and I did take liberty to talk to Randy Koeman, past FFA guru, and he didn't have any good ideas moving forward, but he kind of liked the thought process of making it more than just a rental income if we're gonna keep it. And then I did run into Jessica Garcia, talked about the Career Academy that the school's working with. And she was gonna take it back and talk to their group. I don't know if you got to talk to Mr. Pardun about it, and, cause he's another instrumental, Jessica with WIT and Pardun with the school up here, and he's kind of the spearhead for, I think, ICAM Manning and Maple Valley Avenue, they're all part of this consortium for this Career Academy. So it'd be something that, if they could find it valuable to where, you know, it would be used countywide for everyone.
That would be an idea. I think it's just,
And then the last thing I did talk with Paul yesterday is if we did end up to sell it, we wanted to earmark it for a project that would be less than, or not putting more burden on the taxpayers that, you know, he's obviously pretty set, maybe not set, not the word, but wants to maybe move out down here. He's talked to us about relocating the main shop, and so maybe you could do some land exchange or sell it and use that to pay for a new shop somewhere. Just all kind of loose thinking stuff, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. Cass County did sell theirs within the last couple of weeks. They sold their time.
they did.
Carol sold theirs 2 years ago.
And is there restrictions?
That's when we should have sold
As far as
ours.
what you can do with the money, can it just go in the general fund, or does it have to be?
I'm sure you could just dump it in general fund, but then we try to get, you wouldn't really get no, to me, you just piecemeal it out. You wouldn't get no wow factor or whatever.
Right.
You know, people are gonna wanna know, what did you do with that money?
Right,
Did you give 10,000 to the fair board, or did you give 5,000 to this project? I mean, it really don't, where you could take it and say, we took this money, we built this brick and mortar over here, new shop, or
Yeah,
gave us, something substantial that says, we just didn't blow this money
so you'd
little by
earmark it,
little.
you would earmark it for a project is,
I think whatever that project would be decided by this board to do it, I mean,
If that's the route we decided to go down, like we said last week, Craig, I mean, I want it to be for something that is long-term. And like you just said, Kyle,
but
it shows what you're doing, what plan you have that betters our, our future with that money, but I also like the idea of looking what schools could do with it.
that's what I'd really like to check that out to its full extent first.
I mean, I did put a call into Mike Pardon and did talk to Mike, and I just told Mike, I said, we're having a discussion about the county farm and what to do with it moving forward. And I just said, would you guys want to be in the discussion as to something, an option that we would have moving forward? He said, without a doubt, we would.
okay,
Is that they have been talking about getting more real life, hands-on work in the ag side. And he said they're actually looking for some land perhaps that they can rent. And so I think moving forward would, I guess it'd be nice to know how much land are they thinking of renting,
Yeah.
We didn't get into any specifics. I just said, do you want to be part of the discussion? And he said, yes, Craig, without a doubt, we would.
Excellent.
well, I think that's the reason that we put it on the agenda, so that we could get input from the community, what we think is best, the school purpose is excellent, selling it and using it for another project, earmarking it for a wow factor, and reducing the burden of taxpayers, all of those would be options, so it's a good thing to investigate it and see if we're,
Yeah, I think Chuck always said they always kept it, they always kept it in case they needed to more landfill space.
Yeah, cause this discussion was brought up 20 years ago when I started. And John Waller was sitting in that chair right there and said that, well, that's our ace in the hole. And I said, well, what do you mean? Cause I was I'm thinking, what are we doing in the real estate business? And he said, well, at that time, the landfill was still, they still had a landfill site. And they were gonna use that as maybe a like-kind exchange for property next to the landfill, maybe they could work something out with the current owner there and do a swap. But now that that's just a transfer station, that changes the whole, theory on that. But that's what the discussion was 20 years ago.
and so that's no longer there,
No.
so it's a good time to,
And all three of
Revisit.
the options we kind of talked about today would kind of take us off the front page for something, rental rates in Crawford County.
Yeah.
If we can come up to an agreement with the school, just X amount of dollars and have at it, do your teaching.
Teach young farmers how to farm.
Well, I'd
Men and
like to see
women.
where you had not just only farmers.
Versed
but
in
even
agriculture.
gardening Training
Yeah.
for kids that, I mean, I just, there isn't.
We should have
enough
bought
of
the county home back then, to the building site.
Maybe use that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Classrooms and everything else.
Could have milked cows and everything.
Stored dynamite up there in the dynamite bunker. You
Now you
haven't
guys
seen
are
that?
going
That's
crazy.
neat.
Well, and you brought it up like with secondary roads, I mean, all them, our shop's pretty nice, but all the buildings that we're using on the other side, they're all getting close to,
Well, they're probably 150 years old, probably some of them.
they look like they're at least World War II structures, so. I think that, you look at what costs could be involved in repairing or replacing any of those in the future, and is that good development ground there where you could, Dennison could develop it, I don't know how, so anyway, that's actually all stuff to think about.
So how long do you think it'll take for, Jessica to get back to you, or
I don't know
what?
how often they meet.
I don't know how often they meet either. I didn't ask Mike, I guess.
So
We
do
can
we
continue
keep
them conversations with them. I think Mike and Jessica were hand in
I mean, it'd be
hand.
nice to know, I guess, how many acres that they're looking at
Yep.
having, for their, teaching, and then, what would be left over, what we would do with that. Go out there, and I've never been on the county farm, I guess, to see what that looks like, if you could, plot out 40 acres for them to use as a test and sell the remaining acres, or 20 acres or something like that. It'd be nice to see how it's all situated. So you can kind of see,
There we
Okay.
go.
all right,
Way to go.
Look at our auditor, comes prepared.
Yeah.
She can't tell you about it, but she can show
I could
you.
drive around there. And I think Mike asked me just location where it was, and I told him, you know, it's just off the highway, and he said, oh, that's a nice location. He knew where that was.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's like a frontage road right there, right?
Yeah, yeah. The UP cuts across, you know, so you can't go in there.
You gotta come either from
You
area
gotta
or
come in
from
from
the
either,
dog food plant.
right.
So both
Area
those
north.
entities need to get it on their agenda to talk about
Well, I
it.
think the seed has been planted, and I think, you know, that career academy, that's something that they've been working on for a year now, and I think they're pulling some new welding classes and stuff together, and out of Whit here. Some of that stuff is already in place, but they're wanting more to it,
More hands-on.
so. Yeah, I like that idea, if we could strip out 40 acres, or if they want the whole,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, as far as maintenance goes, it'd probably be maintained better than if they were involved. You know what I mean?
I agree with
As
that.
far as tree trimming and maybe some of the seeding and the fence and stuff, you know, if they were actively involved.
It would all be part of the
The
schooling
program.
process.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be.
I don't disagree with you, because it was very disheartening when I drove around there last fall and looking at all the trees that we paid to get off the terraces, and they're all back.
Well, that's what I said, cause I remember when Coolman had Larry Bocker take all them off of there, and then I see somebody grinding them off again this year. You know, I said, and it's nobody's fault, I mean, it's just, you know, how them trees grow. But if there was somebody that was actively involved, and you'd have new kids all the time, so you'd have new blood wanting to maybe do some more all the time, you know? Otherwise you get complacent if it's the same people, and you know how that is.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to know how many acres they were involved,
Right.
you know, were interested in, or what they could handle or couldn't handle. And what school districts are all gonna be involved in that.
I think that career academy will cover at least the whole county,
It will.
so that's the one thing that I like about that.
I agree.
I think it's a great idea. Good thing we put it on the table so they know we would have possibly something available. Cause I think they probably forgot we even
Woody
had
Valley's
it, you
part
know?
of it, so I mean, it would cover, it'd be a great teaching tool.
You know how many years is left on the tenure?
We just re-enrolled it, that's why we're getting rid of all the trees last fall.
Oh, really? Okay.
They couldn't re-enroll it until the trees were gone.
Okay, so it's just re-entered now.
Yeah,
10 years.
so there's about 9.75 years.
9 and 3/4. Okay, I knew it was getting close, but I didn't know if that was up now or.
Will that affect selling it or that has nothing? Okay, just,
No. They
It
sell
would
it
affect
all.
it somewhat because the contract of the CRP is in Jerry Bruce's name. He has to be the one to re-sign the contract, because if it was the county, it wasn't eligible to receive any funds. So
okay,
it's done through him, and then he writes us, or the county, I should say, 90%. Doesn't he give 90% of it back
Yeah,
to?
that's what I read in the contract.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what we're just
so-
updating
Right.
that too now, so.
I called out there, they were gonna check on it for sure to see if it ended that contract upon the sale of a property like this, or if it continued, so I haven't heard back from
They,
them.
I mean,
well,
it
things.
wouldn't stop a sale, I mean, they sell land with CRP contracts all the time, I mean, it's just,
No, it wouldn't stop the sale, it
No.
would just,
it would just put another fold in the
Yeah.
process.
and that's,
If we choose that route.
and that's only, how many acres? That's only
What is it?
40 some acres.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like 128 rentable, so there's like 160, so there's probably 30 some acres, 30. Yeah, 40 acres probably.
You know, that next to Jim Muff's back in there, I think that's a 40 in there, so.
Yeah,
Had it since 1903,
What's that?
parts of it,
parts of it.
our century farm.
County Century Farm.
Yeah, I guess it is. Wow.
I've not found out whether or not you have to pay capital gains on it. I sent Steph Hausman a text.
I did put it, have a note to ask Elaine got it, and she said the county would not be responsible for
Would not.
that.
That's a nice number.
Got a lot of good information in 1 week, out of just having it out there.
Well, good job.
Yeah, let's get, I'm sure that chunk we got in 03 was probably pretty reasonable. 1903.
Yeah. 19, oh.
2000.
I saw well, we had it up last week, it was was it $4,000 for?
I don't remember.
I don't remember what it all looked at, but yeah.
It's
Some of
two
it.
different,
We got it, we must have acquired it in 3 times, right? 03, then the 40, right, 1942 or something like that.
right, yeah.
I think 1940s when the county home was sold off of it, maybe.
We sold that
96.
We didn't sell that, what,
1996.
99
We sold it.
Because I was asking, oh, this must be when they sold it said right on top, sale of the.
I just can't believe how
German
good their handwriting was back in the
Yeah,
1900s.
Sharp pencil.
19 August
it
of
had to be, that's all
44.
I had.
Oh, heck, that was a month after D-Day.
Well, it served its purpose.
24th of March, 03.
Yeah, and we can still do something for the good of the county if
Right,
if
right,
the
right.
county collaborative effort of schools gets to use
That'd
it.
be
I mean,
great
that's still
too.
something.
I'd like that.
Yeah.
We got some different avenues.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks for doing the research on this.
And I think we just kind of wait and see what Mr. Barr done, or let's go see it get back to us then on that. I think there's really no super need for speed to do anything. I mean,
It's
it's
under
still
contract.
under contract.
For this
So,
year,
but I think it'd be nice by, say, September 1st to kind of have a direction. That way
right,
we either
notify,
Need to give a notice or
give notice.
Right.
I think we should put it in the minutes. We need to give notice anyway. Otherwise it just will roll over.
Yeah, you could do that even if you didn't change the,
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
You could at least give notice and your hands wouldn't be tied.
What year are we in with, Jerry, for writing
It's
it?
year 3.
Year 3 this year?
I think so. But the unique thing is, I realize we're always under a 1-year contract with them, and it's just always been around 3 years.
Right.
Well, it was good to get it on the
Okay.
agenda, so we can have that conversation.
Anything further? Well, we'll not take any action with that right now. And Madam Auditor, it's your turn. Let's canvass your vote.
Don't wait.
Does anybody know what we did with the $121,000 that we got for the house?
No.
Where that money went? When we sold that back in 1995, October.
What did we sell it for?
121,000.
What did it bring last December? It was 110,000 when they sold it again? 102 or something like that?
Yeah, right over 100, wasn't it?
Yep. Who owns it? I don't know who owns it now.
Ethan Collins.
Ethan Collins.
What's he doing with it?
Was it apartments?
It's apartments, yeah,
Kind of not real expensive
right.
apartments. I wanted to say low rent, but then that would have a different,
Yeah, no, it's,
not
and
expensive.
Minimal budget.
I think they keep it rented, I mean, I think it's.
They just kept it as a rental spot again?
Yeah, I think that, and it's all rented out, I guess.
Bad. It's big.
I used to know a guy that worked at the plant and walked from
Housing.
there to the
Cam Manning.
didn't have a car.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
It's absentee.
All right,
so $4,000. Wowza, wowza, wowza.
That probably brings him today, wouldn't it?
oh, I would think so.
Down there,
Just with, yeah, with the neighbors and stuff, it's right there.
I would guess.
So you have election day and you have, well, you have the polls and you have the absentee.
I don't get one.
I
I
got the absentee.
In a second you will.
was
Calm
gonna
down.
say,
I
I'm
don't know
feeling,
what I
I
got. I've never seen one. like
was
yours.
crushed.
Yeah,
was crushed.
the measure.
I'll serve,
Thank you.
because tips are so good around here.
How would the school budget the, like if they were going to, the schools, how would they, I guess, I'm trying to figure out how they would budget, if you rented it cash.
I think from the Career Academy standpoint, I believe it's a calculation of per student head in each school that participating just takes a
Each one of the schools would participate this
Yeah.
much.
participate at a level per student.
I wondered
This
how they,
actually happened in 2000.
that sounds like a great idea, you know,
Yeah, it does.
if there was enough interested students to do that.
I think if you go with the
Is it through
FFA
FFA
for
then?
it,
So what do we do with these?
Find the, where they cast the votes.
Oh, I'll try to.
Right there.
Here?
Yeah, Dave has the
There would be.
canvas.
I think there'd be a lot of,
I think
Craig
it's
has
a
the
great idea.
polls for the Denison School District. So y'all compare. Yeses.
Yeses 151, noes 8.
Correct?
I have, on
You have the Denison School
the
District.
Dennison, yeah, 12 yeses and 6 noes.
Correct?
Thank you, Graham Banning.
IKM Banning,
Yeah,
I have, you're wanting the yeses and no, correct?
yeah.
On yeses, I have 176. On noes, I have 197, for a
Correct.
total of 373.
Correct.
I have 21 yeses and 12 noes.
Yes,
Awesome.
that was so hard.
Are we done already?
You're done.
Just be
This is
thankful.
the shortest canvas I think I've ever sat
Here, I
through.
just told Jared I'd be home late because we had to
Sign your little hearts
canvas.
off.
Can I find something else to do?
These don't need blue.
Well, it's still only a little after 9:30.
You know, the good news is the clock in my Prius is now right again.
We didn't discuss the dates before county meeting. Didn't discuss the dates.
I
before
was
county
told be
meeting.
nice.
can't.
You, I think you should use that every day. Need a little nicer to Jean.
I think we should discuss our dates that we've been trading back and forth in emails for our 4-county meeting.
And I haven't
Good
really
idea.
responded
That's fine.
because I planned my life around being here on Tuesdays and now you're making me be here on a Wednesday too.
Gotta be flexible.
Well, we just like to keep you busy, Gene. We don't want
So,
you sitting around doing
I'm
nothing.
heading to Colorado Tuesday at 11:05 p.m. on the train. So I won't be here on the 29th. I'll be on the
You know, I
train.
know, huh?
Uh-huh.
Linda's the now for kids.
11:05 p.m. So, and then I will be back
You're on.
on Tuesday morning at 4:56 a.m. But then I was planning on heading to Florida on Wednesday,
So you won't be there for either
pretty
meeting.
much, like
We'll
anybody
just have to
cares
go
where we're
without,
gonna
I
be,
mean,
but,
That's fine.
It'll be a sad event, but we'll do it.
I could zoom
For
in
you.
if you're gonna miss me.
Anything.
We have, Dave and I were approached to see
What?
if Summit could come to
29.
that meeting.
I think I have chemo on the 29th.
And we told
So
them
the
that
fifth
Shelby
works
would
for
be
me.
there, did they really wanna come? So what do you think about that, Terry?
Whatever
That's fine.
time, which
These
one?
guys.
You got chemo on the one day. from the other
29th, I
day's
have
work?
chemo. And the next one, so the 5th works great for me.
Let's just do the 5th.
So it
That way
is
we're not too short.
Yep, the fifth,
April 5th.
and his reason for being gone.
What time?
It's okay, you said either,
Yep.
so,
April 5th.
and you said either.
April 5th, I'm gonna put it in my phone. Where are we going?
Where would you like to go?
I know you said you're struggling finding the spot.
Well, I hadn't even, it was more of a struggle figuring out a
spot, we
date
don't
because
know
I
the
didn't
date.
know how long the work was gonna be from Senate File 181. And all the auditors would need to be there, so.
Sure.
Belisara's got that nice little
Being
meeting room.
selfish,
but,
frankly.
They do?
Yeah,
Let's do that.
I mean, Pizza Ranch has got a nice
Well,
meeting
but
room.
he don't-
like.
Because of-
your, yeah.
Right.
We don't have to do. a lot
I'll
of
check with
things.
Belisara and see if they
Well,
have
be
their
there, so
room
why not?
available on April 5th.
What time are we meeting?
We usually start at 11.
Okay.
And then are usually done by 1:30, 2 o'clock, maybe?
You think Belisara would be able to make us a special work?
I don't know.
I don't know
We
either.
could ask them.
Well, that's Passover.
You see that?
We'll have to smear some blood on the door when we walk in.
Got any-
Who's
You got
yours?
any sheep left at your place?
No, I don't.
Or a goat?
Or do you have a sacred lamb you wanna slaughter for this event, or?
Sure, we could find a lamb or a goat or something. There's
Yeah.
more goats around.
Yeah,
Did you wanna allow
Do you want Summit on there?
or not? I'm impartial. If you wanna have them there
Do
for
we need to have the
questioning.
sheriff there too then?
we
Yeah.
might
Shelby
need to-
County's
if
gonna put
Steve's
it
there, we might.
Can they
need-
be in the same room
Well,
together?
I did tell her when, I said, well, Shelby will be there, and she's like, that's fine.
They requested to be there,
Yeah, they
Summit
did.
did.
Yes,
They
they
did.
did. Because
Really?
they talked to Tony from Harrison and Tony told them that we were getting together and stop that baby.
Oh, that's fine. We just will let them be there.
You know, they requested, I guess that's fine. I just really, what's
What
gonna be
else is gonna be
accomplished?
on the agenda besides Summit?
Right. Oh,
You don't
I'm
want,
asking.
you really don't want anything, cause I can see that lasting the full, we'll have to shut it off. Potentially.
Okay,
4-county
In my-
supervisor audit
what
summit.
I wanted.
What time do we start?
11.
11.
Usually 11.
Well,
And then
I
work
wouldn't
lunch,
mind
just kind of work through lunch or
Through
whatever.
lunch.
seeing Shelby and them in the same room, and like
Right.
Steve has said, we're not against you, we just want to protect our citizens, and here's what we have, and why aren't you abiding by what we have?
I wanted to be there for that, so.
So make sure
Mike,
Jim's there.
you-
No, I'm just being. What else do we want to talk about?
Property taxes? What's
Oh,
coming
we
up,
gotta get
budgets?
you know, we talked last week about getting, them departments back in here, and when are we gonna do that, next Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because
Or are we gonna do it?
at my
this
public
weekend?
health meeting, they were wanting to get their budget done, and I said, I think we want to talk to you guys again, so, because they're
Well,
planning.
that's
to-
interesting, cause yeah, when I told Lynn there wasn't gonna be enough money to do all, he was flush with cash for this year.
Yeah. Well, the reason is
Yeah, well,
because they're
actually,
short 3 nurses in
Is that
hospice,
interesting?
And hospice has been high.
yeah. So,
So they said they got almost enough money to,
well, they were gonna do 5% raises.
And they only said 3.
So
3.
that's kind of why we need to have
3
that
across the board.
conversation.
So what departments you want that present for this work session?
conservation,
Public health,
Oh, the work
secondary roads.
Our
There's 4 of them, right? Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff, secondary roads,
Conservation.
public health and conservation.
Really truly the only ones that have much for any flexibility in their budget. I mean, not discrediting the rest of them, but you guys are staff and some office supplies.
yeah,
Right,
Yeah,
And you need your staff and you need your office supplies.
right.
that is correct.
unless you know that you're overstaffed anywhere. Right?
I mean, yeah, we can call them all back in and pull
Not me.
$100 out of their budget, but.
You have
it
to
ain't
talk to
gonna
another
change nothing.
department
So
about
Colin is,
I already softened the blow with Chris and said, you know, maybe the skid loader this year and a shredder the next
Well,
year.
I think-
Thought I'd empty
that.
one.
Are you talking to me?
And he was,
Paul had kind of already even mentioned what he's looking at backing off.
Colin's got his girl.
He's
on
got
it.
2 retire this year, maybe it'd be a good
I
year
put them in
to
a tree.
transition into
He
the
never did submit
combined
anything after
bridge
you
slash
guys
grade crew.
did the
Give 'em half
compensation
year
board
each, work on
adjustment.
bridges half the year. and-
Didn't
So we
Yeah.
needed something in there, so we put.
Well, I just don't want there to be a problem, you know, that,
um,
you
Yeah,
know,
well,
you
just
know
have
how that
that
went
next
for us last
Tuesday.
time.
to do his job.
Try to
better,
keep-
yes, so.
the agenda short, try to keep a short agenda if possible and just have them come in here.
So we'll have another budget work session on the agenda.
Yep.
For next week and
Okay.
inviting
Gene,
those
don't add
four,
anything to our agenda.
those four
I will not.
departments, conservation, public health, secondary roads and the sheriff.
3 time over.
And of course, anybody else can come that desires,
Just
but.
what you're doing to college.
Oh, clean those. I know
Okay.
Chuck was doing a little bit of
That's fine.
research on the
I
rural
know
basin
so
stuff.
night, but.
You should let him go over the mountain, because then you're in the back.
What else is there?
We go to Grand Junction.
I know we're gonna have land
Or-
management agreement on next
Yeah.
week's, right?
Yeah, I
Is
hope
that
so.
nice?
I was
You
asking
get to
Martha
kinda
if
wait there. I think
conservation
I
needed to
Denver and then
approve
had to
that
take the-
And I was
before
reading
the
that.
board, or if we just need a signature, you know what I
We
mean?
just need their signature. Chris says it's not gonna make any difference to them.
Right.
So you have it done
Their
pretty
heads
much?
down.
Yeah,
I think
we
it's
got
really
pretty much
close.
done. Yeah, just maybe put the numbers,
Oh,
the
yeah.
numbers in
Have
place.
you-
Okay, so my other thing was, talking to Erica last week is on that contract with Jerry, Jerry has 99% and county does 1%, so we don't receive 1%.
Round trip.
So I don't know if we need to do the exact dollar amount, or do we just do CRP funds received 90%?
Denver airport for 6.
I don't know if you wanna
That would-
talk to
that-
Martha
I
about
can still
that.
talk to her. Well, at least that would leave it open, then if we still have it in 10 years, then you just, we don't have
Right,
to go back.
we don't have to go back and revisit it.
You know how I like just putting percentage,
I just hate having
dollar,
solid
not
numbers.
specific amounts and so it's flexible.
Okay. Are you gonna let Summit know about April 5th, or
Sure.
do you know, do you want me to do it? You just have to let me know. who to
I'll
contact.
talk to
You-
You
you
guys
got
break
Kylie.
his number.
I do.
Just get a hold of Kylie.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kylie or,
Gene's got it
what's
covered.
the new gal's name? That's the
Green.
Sabrina.
what else is there? There's something else, wasn't there?
They had a,
So Summit, do we want to do anything on, what else are we wanting to look at?
For the Schultz Road.
The other counties?
Head down there. and miss
Four
my
counties,
customer.
So does Summit affect all 4 counties?
Just Shelby and us, as far as I know. But it's,
Shelby.
anybody could be affected in the future for something, and it'd be nice to be prepared, because,
So I'll try and get some topics from the other counties too.
yeah, see what they want to talk about. I mean,
That cop doesn't want to look.
And maybe they don't even wanna show up and they're talking about
Right.
pipeline.
Let's get really.
We rotate.
Stuff
together.
I just-
We rotate.
We can put their interest ahead of the pipeline because that'll, once it gets going, you know what that's like.
Yeah,
Put that towards the back half of the agenda.
gotcha.
I had two things written down that I needed to ask.
Okay, during my budget meeting, whenever it was, a couple months ago, I talked to you about, some election equipment that would be 50,000.
Yep.
You insinuated to go ahead and get it current year, and we would do a budget amendment. Are we still good for that?
Yep.
Cause I haven't
changed our
pursued it.
mind.
Okay. you
Gene
won.
changed her mind, but
What about the
I'm
rest
still
of you?
okay.
I'm good. If I said.
I'm good.
If I said
Did
do
you
it,
say,
then-
okay, I just wanted to make sure with
And you just pull it out of
changing
the
situations.
general fund.
Yeah, we'll do, what'll be, it's election equipment, so it'll come out of.
Is that like that little
supplemental,
computer
so-
you've had set up there? Is that what that is, or what do you use?
Yeah, it's, sorry, the more I talk, the more I
Christ,
can't breathe.
Cost a
Which
lot
is
to
good
have
for
a
everybody.
election.
Yeah, more of the scanners, the touch screens
Yeah, the touch
for
screen.
voting, yeah, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, them
Awesome.
seem to
I'll
be
get that
popular
covered.
where I talked to some of them.
They are, they'll
Yeah,
stand in line to use them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Does changing the clock go with that seat also?
Yep.
yeah.
I'm not tall enough.
We can stack a few
Gene,
chairs.
stand on
last
some, Gene, stand on my shoulders.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
We'll get our workman comp, thing, we'll get that sucker to start
Do I have
going
to take
back
my
up.
shoes off?
It's an atomic clock, it's supposed to fix itself.
Lovely.
Amazing.
10:42.
Close.
Did you, I see, you had a change order in there, is that?
Oh, yeah, did y'all read it? Did you
That's,
look
yeah, that's
at
for
it?
the doors.
That's
It's
for
for
the
the
door,
doors,
right?
did you read it? Did anybody read
I
I
it?
didn't read
Actually,
it in great detail. We
I
were passing
perused
it
it,
around.
but I didn't read
Well, I saw the front page that said 0, and then I thought I better read page 2, and then. it
so
was
0 is if we go with the 3 doors we have.
Yeah.
And then 3 new doors, cause that's what's currently in the proposal.
Yep,
Cause they were gonna match the trim. The trim will not match exactly. This will be the new trim. That's what the pictures are
Okay.
for,
alright,
okay?
Okay.
So that's option 1.
Right.
We go with not matching doors, 3 of one kind, 3 of another. She said they'll be similar enough that most people would not notice.
Could we put the 3 new ones on the girls and the 3 old ones on the boys?
Yeah,
We
probably.
That's
can
what I
do
was
whatever
thinking.
we
Yeah,
want.
we
Three on
like
one
it
side,
old and
three on
rough.
the other,
Cause
one
otherwise,
not
if we
next
get
to each
6
other.
new doors, 3 of them are already in the proposal, like I said. 3 doors we would have to pay for is almost $11,000.
I like option 1.
Yeah, I like
Option
one.
one's fine.
And you know, if we put the new doors on the guy's side, we're pretty rough with stuff, so they'll look
That's right.
similar sooner,
That's right.
right?
The other option would be no doors like they have at the school.
Put curtains up.
Yeah, that's awesome too. So this will be on next week's agenda,
Yeah, I
so
think
just
just
so
say the option number 1, as long as
Just
they're
so you know.
similar, I mean,
you know what you know.
put 3 on one side, 3 on the other,
Yeah.
so nobody will notice the difference.
And this 10-point stuff,
What is that?
so Dave had Mike Friend come and look at our sidewalks
Yep.
and draw out, where the problem children are. And it looks like there's about 6
Oh.
areas that need it, and that's the whole block.
Okay.
Not quite $20,000. We do have the money currently budgeted in grounds, and improvement grounds and
Maintenance.
something like that, and a courthouse.
Dave took me on that walk and
We did put it out there. Brian Smith knew about it. I got on Hayden's website and sent an email. We heard from no one else.
That's because his
No.
bookkeeper reads his emails and only.
That sounds like a problem. But anyway, no, still no response.
So basically 10 points all we heard from.
Yeah,
they done, let's,
it's
Some
pretty
of 'em are-
small for them. We could get it done yet before the end of June,
Yeah,
let's get.
before they get busy.
Yeah,
Get it done.
get it done
let's rock.
God,
Do we need to
You'll put
vote on that?
Yeah,
you can't today.
next
No,
week.
next
But I
week.
mean,
We could
Put it
vote
on
on
the
it
vote
next
on-
week if you want.
Let's do it.
put it on next week.
A question. I don't think, this question.
What?
Well, you know, you go back to some of these agreements that we're
Did
in.
this not go around?
Some of this is in front of the PD.
Do they have to pay for their section?
No, it's
That's not, I was just
our
like,
building bar.
some of that brick and mortar stuff is, that we're in contract with the sheriff's department. I don't have to read that, but I don't,
But the
there's one,
sheriff's department
there's
is
one
county.
section.
So,
And it's
Right.
closer to the steps going up to the sheriff's department, so I'm guessing that's all ours. It's all our building.
okay, what part would be?
That's why I wanted to, the brick and mortar agreement between the city of Denison and the Crawford County in regards to the LEC.
Oh, okay.
Kind of spells out some of that repair cost, but I don't believe sidewalk is part of that, I don't know if it's worth our time passing around for $500
They
out
can't
of
even
the
fix
city.
their own streets. How are they gonna help us with the sidewalk? Sorry.
You're right.
Sometimes she just says it out loud.
I'll pull that up and take a look at it.
I love Jenny said that. That's just facts.
Okay.
All right,
Woohoo.
Citizens,
citizens input.
It's cheaper than somebody breaking.
Mr. Munt, do you have anything?
To talk about-
Appears to be all the citizens present. Anybody else have anything?
We gotta sign, no.
we can.
Don't
There's
adjourn.
one last
Everybody
thing
needs to
coming
sign
around.
it.
No, we're gonna just.
Don't adjourn
Neglected
until we're
the
done.
clerk of court
Going
fees.
to really break it down.
Clerk of court, you gotta come around.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of know that there's.
I kind of miss them being on the agenda.
I don't know if I have to get together. I'll ask Terry. Terry,
Yes.
so I think that it's time that we decide how much of the ARPA funds we're going to set aside for the building. Do we need to have it on this agenda, or do we need to call another ARPA committee meeting
That'd be
together?
good first, I think.
Okay, can we do that? Maybe this week sometime, just have the department heads meet 8 o'clock in the morning.
Is that what the ARPA committee is department heads?
Yep, it is. And then we'll kind of go through where we're at with the towers and kind of revisit what we originally set aside. And then they can agree on the dollar amount that they want to set aside for that building. Now, it's not fair to some of them because they haven't been in it. And then Colin must not have found the answers out because he was gonna bring them into us today, so he'll send us an email about the procurement and all of the things that I asked him about. So be looking at your emails.
Everything signed now?
Barely.
Anything else to be brought before the board?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second. There's been a motion by Ms. Hayden. Second by Mr. Dozark at
Not
10.
9:50, but 10.
10:49,
From chat,
ten
that I'm just
fifty.
printing.
Oh,
What?
Chad. Who's Chad? Oh,
Oh,
from Chad.
Oh,
Yeah.
What are we doing?
we're not done yet.
She has some questions.
Citizens input.
Oh, citizens input.
Yeah,
I thought you said from Chad.
We didn't vote on adjournment.
chat,
Chat.
they asked, how much rent is the county now getting from the land and where is it going? General fund, and what about landowners? Are we allowed to participate?
Landowners participate for what?
are these questions even, are they signed?
It was Cindy.
I would think as landowners, maybe they're wondering if they can bid to be part of the process.
What are we currently renting it for? How much an acre?
320 an acre is about $41,000. It goes into the general fund.
127, 8 acres.
28 point.
Yeah,
So 320 acres or $320 an acre, $41,000 yearly.
In the general.
And when they,
And when we have a public auction, when we bid, or when we auction it off in a public meeting, the rent.
Yep.
and that'll be announced.
Every 3 years.
And unless we would decide to sell it or use it for the school, which is being decided at, you know.
Yep,
So do you have to reply?
hopefully
Can they
that
hear
answers-
or-
they can hear you,
Okay,
yep,
all right.
Hopefully that answers all the questions.
should be.
that was it.
That's it. Well, there's a motion by Ms. Hayden, a second by Mr. Dozark to adjourn. Any other further issues to be brought before the board? All in favor, state so by saying aye. Opposed, no. Chair votes aye. Motion
10:51.
carries. And we are adjourned. Did you have to adjust your time?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna run downstairs. I have a young gentleman who graduated from Iowa State. Wanted to meet with Paul and just kind of nitpick about, or go through and pick his brain about an engineer's office.
Engineer. Is he an engineer? Good school for that. No?
Well, he's actually graduating, but he just wanted to kind of see the ins and outs of what a county engineer office is.
Considering the job and the county
Been
engineer. field.
somewhat, yes.
Well, just,
I just
I
printed
think
it off.
just keeping options open and just
Good.
broadening his
I
horizon,
foresee
so.
it,
Potentially we'll need one of these days.
I just told him I didn't do something.
Excellent.
I'll be back.
If I had our meeting, they could tell us how they progress, huh?
That might not be a
Oh,
bad
yeah, put that on there.
What else we gotta do? I got a noon meeting, but I got some
Monona
plans
County
there.
was Ottawa a year ago probably, so.
Said Manila County did it?
Yeah, they took over Ottawa's police force.
Yeah, now Shelby's working on it, Monona.
Yeah, so it's gonna be contagious.
What do you want something else on this agenda?
Well, I think it's,
Let's talk about that.
I mean, that'd be nice to have Shelby report how it's progressing, I guess.
Yeah.
Law enforcement update. Monona County should be
Cause
all
them to go that route.
have some input
consolidated,
on it.
consolidated.